that's a vital component of your business, or wherever you are. So that's definitely going to be an attitude an attitude or opinion that's going to have to be changed, and it is changing. It is definitely changing. Is the way I see it. It's slowly changing, and unfortunately, and this is the way I've had to, I've told people in the past, is the way it's changing is through the stick approach, and I hate that, that whole carrot and the stick thing. I like to be optimistic about things wherever possible. It's like, hey, we can do this, we can make this happen. But when I say when I say in this case what's changed is the stick, is the fact that what's making it change is that they see what's happening to the Sonys and all these other places, and they're realizing, hey, I don't want that to be me.
You're right.
And so that's changing. Unfortunately, it's taking that to change. After all these years of us telling them, those of us in the field, you need to take us more seriously, you need to do this. Now they're realizing it, and that's across the board. No matter where you go, it's not just the private business or anything. It's across the board. Anybody that deals information system, anybody that has any sort of whatever, just doesn't take that seriously because they haven't had to for such a long time. It's such an embedded thing. Security is not someone that the average person really exercises, period. So we have a whole bunch of mindsets to change.
Right. And, this brings me to another interesting question. Some of the titles that you have written about is the hackers, technique, tools, and incident handling. Also, client-side attack and defense. Of the CEH book, of course, which is a very good book. I've used it myself. With these type of books, I guess you're writing it for the white hat security practitioner to test their systems, to kind of understand what's going on. But do you ever think that, or does it ever bother you that someone may be picking up the book for the wrong purpose, to do certain things that you didn't mean when you initially wrote the book? And I guess, how do you work with that thought if you have thought about it?
Yeah, I do think about it. I think about it whenever I put the stuff out. You have to take into account that someone could be looking at that for some evil or mischievous purpose, whatever that may be. But that's kind of the way it works with really anything. There's always going to be, one of the things we had to put it in terms of security, or something that we would all be on the same page with, is just a question of risk. Is the risk acceptable? If I keep this information to myself, and all of us security professionals, we kept the information to ourselves, what are we really doing? We're doing a disservice to everybody, because we're helping a lot of people and companies get up to speed and be able to protect the information and systems that they're responsible for. But yeah, we got to accept the risk that there's going to be those out there who are going to read this and have other things in mind. So you try to do what you you can. Now, unfortunately, through a book, I can't really do much. I mean, anybody can buy it off of Amazon, and heck, I've seen some of my books actually show up on some of the file sharing networks. So illegally, I've seen them up there. People are going to get access to that information, one way or the other. So be there. But as far as in a class environment, we're always kind of on. As an instructor, we're supposed to be, and I don't think every instructor does this, but we're supposed to be really engaged and see when we're looking around the classroom where people are asking questions. It's like those are a little too specific. Fortunately, I've never had any problems where I've had someone in any of my classes start asking questions that were suspicious.
Right. But
I've had colleagues that have had done, for example, a CEH class, and they've had someone that was asking very specific questions, and if you get a series of those, and you can kind of get a sense that, okay, they've got an issue here, and if you really kind of pay attention, and not just the fact that they have an issue, you can kind of get a feel for, yeah, that person's up to no good. And I've had one colleague I had that had those questions, told the person, says, that you're not supposed to be using this for any black cat means. And the guy kept telling him, oh no, I'm not doing it. So it just has some things I'm working on. Yeah, the guy was trying to had a grudge against his company. Fortunately for the class, it's like the CEH. This is true with a lot of classes that do that type of hacking type stuff. There's paperwork you got to sign on the first day that says. Now I know it only goes so far, but it does let them know these types of things. But yeah, I do, to get back to it. Yeah, I do wonder, about that and think about that issue. But I think the risk is acceptable. These people are going to learn it, or they're going to learn it one way or the other, and so. I definitely think the risk is acceptable. I'm sure people have used some of the stuff that I've published for stuff that I wouldn't be too happy about, nor would someone else be happy about.
Right.
But then I think how many people probably have used it in a positive sense. Then that's that's a good thing for that. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, and in February of 2009, you wrote an interesting white paper, I think it is. It's called Anatomy of a Web Attack, Understanding the Most Common Attack Types. It was written for IBM, and it was a well-written white paper. I enjoyed reading it. But one of the things that kind of came across my mind is, you have the OWASP top 10 or top 25, and mainly the same ones have been an issue for numerous years now. And we all know, like with cross-site scripting and SQL injection, that it takes proper coding. And I'm just wondering why these web attacks are still in the OWASP top 10 after, 5 years, when we know what the solution is to kind of fix these things.
There's a bunch of things that lead to that, in my opinion. So some of the ones that I see are that people are still getting a handle on. I mean, the web environment has. Obviously, if you've looked at it, has evolved incredibly quickly. So people are constantly kind of seem to be behind the curve on keeping up with this. So there's the people that are really truly knowledgeable are few, so they're kind of stretched to their limits. So you got that issue. Then as far as people that have their skills, and the rest of the people that aren't expert, that are trying to catch up, they don't really kind of have their skills developed on any specific area. They're trying to get up with that, and so they're trying to send them through training. And I've literally seen this where people that are skilled outside of the web environment, and they have some programming development skills, are not trying to jump into that, and they really don't have any specific direction. They're being told, take a programming class, take this. They may look at Microsoft's site, for an application that supports that, maybe a Microsoft-centric application, let's say, and they're just kind of like, oh, well, I need to have this skill, and this skill. They're just guessing, so that's been a problem, is that you have a few experts, and then you have these people that are trying to catch up with it. You have these really complex environments who's getting more and more crazy. The environments that are out there seem to be increasing in complexity by several magnitudes every few months, and so that makes it tough to secure it. And then one of the other issues I've noticed is that not only things getting more and more complex, and you have the expertise problem, but you were talking over a time frame of 5 years. We could go back, 10 years even, if we wanted to. If you looked at it, with the way the economy was for such a long time, where everything took that big dip, and the recession and all that, what you had is you had companies that would have an IT or security staff, and they'd slash that staff by some percentage. Let's say they had 100 people, and they would cut it by maybe like half and say, okay, well, we just don't have the funds to keep this staff all active, so they'd get rid of half of that.
Yeah.
And then things got worse, and they would still say, okay, well, we can't maintain all these people again, so another round of layoff or whatever, and got rid of more of those. And so now you're left with some percentage of the original staff. In this case, you have a quarter of your original staff left behind. And so if they're approached by somebody that's the CEO or sales, somebody that's high up and says, hey, such and such company has a web portal that's doing this, or really any IT project, they'll say, can you do this? And I mean, what do you think that person's going to say? They're going to say no? They just saw like 3/4 of the department disappear in a puff of smoke. They're gonna say, yeah, I can do it.
Right.
And then they're gonna grab their Kindle or whatever it is and a lot of coffee and 5-hour energies and spend the next week or two becoming a so-called expert at it, and then they're going to implement it.
Right.
So the end result of that is you get a really shoddy implementation of these things, and you have these problems that are going to be ongoing. And then you could even say, if you want to put other issues on top of that, is not only do you have people that are learning these things and then say, no experience, go out and do it. You also have situations where they just aren't keeping on top of things. Some of these issues that you're seeing aren't really even secure. I don't know if I'd put them fully in the realm of security. I'd say as an IT, you look at things like patching. Just a simple task like keeping your stuff patched up to date. And so not really a hard thing when you look at it, but there's still many web servers out there that base underneath the web application that just has not been patched or kept up to date. So you have things, if you drill down into the list of attacks and things that are out there, you'll notice on some reports, if they go down that far in detail,
right,
they still have things like Code Red and Minda and all those things out there. And you think about it, it's like, haven't those things been dead for years? It's like, no, there's still vulnerable systems out there. So they're not getting addressed. So yeah, you could say it's a bunch of different issues coming together.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. The way you put it made me realize like it's much bigger than the OWASP situation.
Yeah, all those things I told you about, I have run into each and every one of those.
Right.
It's just that they just don't that there's all these things not being done, or there's big problems in it. I mean, and think about this too, because it's kind of in the same topic area. As I was talking about these experts on the web and not having many people outside of that it can really truly call that. That's the same thing that's happening with security right now. Is that companies have, whoever it is, companies, agencies, government, whatever, they've been grabbing security people that are either doing stuff like I am, or pulling them out of the military or wherever, that are pulling them into these businesses and just grabbing them up. So people that are really good at security have had all these options to where they want to go, and have pretty much written their own wherever to go to whatever company and make these good salaries. So they're doing well. So all these people are gone, they're off the market, and we're still having all these security problems.
Yeah.
Okay, so the people that are left behind are people that are still learning, or there's nothing left behind. There's just you just have some IT people, period.
Right.
So and so the industry, you got across the board in a situation where the people are left behind. They're not the people that are anywhere near what they need. So there's this big scramble right now to get them. Let's talk about the issue from earlier, to get them trained, to get them up to speed, and it's going to take a while. It just was not taken seriously enough. And I can actually still hear someone in my head. I kid you not. We'll get a laugh out of this. I had someone tell me, about 5-6 years